want to share with them how their week was. He's opening up just now. Right?
Was on Sabbath. When I started coming here, or when I went to the conference at Chapel West, part of what I did for attending all of them was to get a new Bible. My Bible is falling apart. So I haven't used it for a year and a half because I had to do it. But studying for teaching today, I use the computer and it's King James. My new Bible is New King James. So I said, I got to use the King James up front because that's what I studied with. So I get to use my old Bible that I got when I went to college.
You know, that's been always a question with a lot of people. What do you do with the Bible to deteriorate it? I mean, maybe somebody can answer that. You know, I got my favorite Bibles, and I hate to bring it to church because I got duct tape, or I got this packing tape, or the pages are inside the things, you know, split. And I've always wondered, what do you do with your Bibles when they're in that condition? It's one of those Bibles that you don't want to throw away or burn, or even if you're supposed to do that. I have no idea what you're really supposed to do.
Yeah, I don't know what to do. So I don't want to tell this as the gospel, but what do you do with old ones? I have a couple that my great-grandfather had, great-grandmother had. But if I think the best practice I've seen as far as if it's just destroyed and you have to dispose of it, is to burn it. We treat it like we would the communion bread. So the blessed communion bread. So I think that's how I've seen it handled.
It's good to know. I mean, it's just one of those Bibles. I've had it for years. One of my early Bibles I had, and you use it for studying and everything else. And I guess the pages are just deteriorating. I mean, you turn a page and it just rips off the thing, you know. And you wonder, what in the world can I do? And my covers, like I said, I've used duct tape, I've used packing tape, I've used Elmer's glue, you know, but it still all comes apart, you know. But that's a good question, you know, something like that, right? But the most important thing is that when we have a Bible, it's not an ornament. It's not a shelf ornament, which a lot of people do, dust collectors, right? It's supposed to be a book that we can open up and study from. There's a lot of knowledge and written in these books, and they were written for us, for our daily use. Actually, it's a guidebook. It's an owner's manual. That's for Christians. But this quarter, we've been talking about the book of Psalms. And you know, what are the Psalms? Psalms are prayers and hymns of the Bible. How many of you like the book of Psalms? I do. David is the main contributor to that. David's life was a roller coaster, wasn't it? I mean, David had a life that was up and low, sin-free. So throughout David's life, what can you tell me about David and his relationship to the Psalms? Because we do know that David had high and lows. Right? David was a musician, wasn't he? And he found a lot of what? Peace. He played his harp and everything else. What does the Psalms do for us?
David was able to speak whatever was going on in his life. When he was low, there are songs that say, Lord, take care of him.
David was very open in his conversation. And as you read the book of Psalms, you can see that he tells it like it is. You know? And so you can see also that the Psalms utter praise, joy, sorrow, and despair. But they were sung in private and in public by the lay people. So you can see that the book of Psalms, while most of the Bible speaks to us, the Psalm speaks for us and with us. And so it's important that it's there. So in the first part, today we were supposed to have a panel up here, but unfortunately, half my panel teaches over the period. I'd rather have them teach and come up, up here. And if I told the whole panel from the congregation, that means that we would be the congregation and the panel. And so today we're just going to split it between Rodney and myself. I'm going to take the first couple of days, and then Ronnie's gonna, graciously volunteer to take the rest of the lesson. But we can see to experience the life transforming power of Psalms, we are called to sing and pray, live as a generation of believers before us. It says, pour out their praises, petitions, confessions, laments, and thanksgiving to sound praise of God. God's people and even prayers that Jesus prayed as an incarnated Lord. Psalms are also prayers about Jesus. And so with that in mind, let's just go to the first. What is today's lesson? Worship that never ends. What is worship, number one? How can we define worship? Anybody? What's worship? How would you define worship? Somebody says, hey, what is worship? Okay.
That's a complex question.
It is. It's a very complex.
So I think there are different kinds of worship. Public worship is acknowledging and proclaiming in public about the God that you serve and who you have chosen to surrender to. And his goodness, his authority, all of his qualities. Just acknowledging them, celebrating them. But then there's a personal worship, and I think that has more to do with how we live our lives. Our acts of living for Christ in our personal lives are worship.
So worship is different for different individuals. How you worship, when you worship, the manner you worship. And you can see that no matter how we worship, we should be, the whole thing of worship is honoring God in our worship. In our ministries, you know, worship is not just coming to church the 2 or 3 hours we meet here. And a lot of times people think this is worship. No, worship is what you do throughout the week. Who you talk to, how we worship. You know, are you praising God for everything that's happening in your life, or are you keeping everything to yourself? And so, people worship all kinds of things. What are some of the things that people worship? Because if you talk about worship, there's different types of worship. What do people worship? Sports. Sports. Okay, that's one big thing, right? You talk to anything, all they want to do is talk about sports, whether it's football, soccer, baseball, I don't know what it is. That's a big worship to them. I mean, they'll dress up like the players, they'll put all this garb on, and you'll see them in the stadiums when they show the script on the TV, you know, they look like they're what? They're part of the team. What other kind of worship we got? Well, money. Can you worship your money though?
Yes, because you spend all your energy to get it.
All right. So some people can make that their idol. Money. Their jobs even. Okay? They spend 90% of their time trying to make a living so they can live like everybody else, wealthy. They want to show what they have but don't have. You understand what I'm phrase I just said? I've met a lot of people that live in this mansion. And when you go in there, maybe 1 or 2 rooms are furnished. You understand? So now we got a couple works all week, overtime, whatever opportunity to get to work, to pay for a house, which they only furnish 2 rooms, and spend no time in it. So that's, like you said, it's worship is your finances, your money. What other, yes?
Any